Hi guys, welcome back to Alamat Short Stories, where we narrate short stories submitted or researched by our team to share with you all. This week's story is a personal tale shared on an online forum about the OP's experiences in the provinces of the Philippines. This tale is called Something Was a Little Aggressive by X Share. I have a pretty good set of stories to tell, but I'm not really sure if this is all that interesting compared to the other stories on the subreddit. But whatever. This happened a few years ago during the Christmas season, when all of my maternal side of the family decided to go back to the house they grew up in the Philippines. For context, the house we were staying in is more in the boonies part of the Philippines. No Wi-Fi, poor service, and mostly farmland. This house was the same house that my mother and all her siblings grew up in, and at that time, it had not been renovated in any way at all. My grandfather had long passed due to issues regarding smoking, so it was just my grandmother along with her helpers living in the house. The property was very big, but the building itself wasn't particularly large, with maybe 1.5 bathrooms, a living room, a combined kitchen, dining room, and about 3 or 4, I think, smaller bedrooms upstairs. The stairs were notably steeper than the average house. The steps were maybe a step and a half taller than they normally are in North America. I don't really know how to describe it, but basically, these were some big ass steps for someone who was around 5 feet at the time. And since the house was old, the floor directly after the last step was kind of hollow, and the tile probably would have split open to reveal the sharp boarding underneath. Anyway, the morning after a little family Christmas party, my dad and I were one of the last people to go downstairs to join everyone for breakfast. My mom was still upstairs getting dressed. I didn't hear my dad tell me he was going back upstairs to ask my mom something, so I just assumed he was still behind me. About halfway down, I felt a pretty solid push on my back, the hand being large and kind of cold. Due to this, I literally missed 3 or 4 steps going down, and honestly, I would have flown if I wasn't holding the rail since I used to be really light, being a 10-year-old child. I turned around, a little upset with my dad since I could have gotten seriously hurt if I wasn't holding the rail. But there wasn't anyone behind me when I looked up the stairs. There was no way anyone could have pushed me and then ran back up the stairs that fast. I had this huge feeling wash over me. Suddenly, it was really cold and I felt my feet and hands get heavier. I freaked out and ran into the living room and played it off as me being hungry. Everyone in the house, other than my parents, was in the room, so there was no way any of them could have been playing a joke on me. On the drive that night back to the city, I told my dad about it while my mom was passed out in the back. And he said he felt something in the house as well, but didn't want to say anything. See, my dad and I have what I guess you could call a sixth sense. Neither of us can see things, unless it's strong or really wants us to see it. But generally, we can both sense it. In this house, we both felt something upon arriving. But neither wanted to say anything, since it was the house my mom grew up in, and neither of us wanted to make her upset. She also cannot see or sense things, so we didn't see a point in telling her anyway. I mentioned the story to my mom when we got back in Canada, and she just told me it was her dad's spirit messing around. I honestly don't think it was, considering I could have gotten hurt. And because something about the whole thing scared me and wasn't comforting, like the presence of a loved one is. The LDR, while staying at an old family's home, got pushed down by the stairs by something, felt its presence, freaked out, and saw that it definitely wasn't some joke played on me. I discussed this with my dad that something was definitely in the house, and my mom says it was her father's spirit even though it could have harmed me. What do you guys think of this week's short story? If you have experiences in old houses in the province, share them down below in the comment section. If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this to your friends and family. If you have stories you would want me to narrate, send them over at mralamatph@gmail.com. Salamat guys, and see you in the next one.